Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, he's over there. He's right next to me. He's Andy Asimakis, all the way from Queens, New York. How are you, Andy?
Stephen,
Yeah.
this game that we're about to talk about
I know.
is one of the cutest
It is.
things.
Yeah.
It is like strolling through a puppy field. That's what I get in here when I play this game. It is Pikmin meets Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
Yeah.
and I cannot wait to talk about it.
Yes, and don't worry, we are going to talk about it because joining us this week is Romain Claude. I did words. Developer of Tinykin, an adorable 3D puzzle platformer where you team up with the mysterious Tinykin and use their unique powers to create ladders, bridges, explosions, and all sorts of stuff to help find your way home. Romain, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thanks. And actually, you did a really great job in introducing the game, actually.
I'm very grateful because
congratulations.
I appreciate that because I'm pretty sure that is directly from your Steam page. So
It is not actually.
Oh, it's not. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
Half them, half me this time.
Okay. And half me. Well,
yeah,
because I added some. I improvised.
All you in delivery.
But I improvised some things. I threw some extra words in there. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot wait to talk about this game. This is going to be a great show. But what show are you listening? This could be your first time over here stumbling upon this magical adventure that we're going to take you on. This is the Dual Screens podcast, the internet's #1 indie developer interview podcast across all of the internet, starring people you've never heard of, probably. The show posts each and every Friday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including our home, podbean.com. And, of course, you can find this on Apple, on Google Play, on Spotify, your sister's ass. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you will find us. And, of course, you could watch the podcast, the video version, so you could see our beautiful faces right here on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. Andy, I'm just gonna set this up on a tee for you for our ceremonial.
I got it.
First lead-off question of the show. What do you have for us?
It's a two-parter this time.
A two-parter. Okay.
There's got to be a setup and then an execution.
Okay, I understand.
So we mentioned the keyword explosions in describing the Tinykin abilities. So, Romain, could you describe for our listeners what do the red Tinykin do in this game?
They explode.
Yes.
Basically.
So you hurl them at shit and they go boom.
Yeah. But that's not as sad as it sounds because actually they love that, but they actually don't really know in advance that they will stop to exist afterward. But they don't care. That's their goal in life, you know. And they have a particular link with Milo. Actually, all Tinykin do have some special link with Milo, a lot more than the other house inhabitants. Milo is a kind of special person, and the Tinykin are attracted by Milo.
There's some sort of connection there.
Yeah, and when you start playing, you don't know why, but this is something you will figure out later in the game. Why is Milo so attractive for the Tinykin?
Okay, because the part 2 was going to be why am I a murderer? Because when I threw them at this rock, I was like, okay, cool. And then I walked along and I'm like, okay, here's more rocks. I'm gonna blow it up. I was like, oh wait, I'm out of red Tinykin. Did I just kill all of those adorable little creatures just to like clear a path to a bridge?
They have fulfilled their purpose, Andy.
Their destiny. Yeah.
That is what they are put here on this planet. The Tinykin are here to do your bidding, and that's it. And to make sure that you are safe.
You notice that each thing you do in the game with the Tinykin is a win-win situation, actually, because Milo has a goal, and actually everything that you ask the Tinykin to do, they actually love the job. So there is the one that are carrying stuff, they actually love using their muscles to help. There is one that love to climb on top of each other to create ladders, and this is something they really enjoy. So you're not like that, torture guy. It's way more.
I mean, they're always
positive.
they're always like woohooing and yaying.
Yeah, sure. They're real happy about it.
Carrying a key, or like they love being blown to bits. If that's what tickles their fancy, I don't kink shame the Tinykin.
It's kind of like the Angry Birds, like you're flinging them across the universe and they're slamming into buildings and splatting and whatever. But that's what they love, man. They love to do that. That's what they need to do. That's what they're here to do, and the Tinykin are here to do it as well. Now, if you haven't caught on, listeners, Tinykin is very, very cool, and if you want to give it a analog to a classic game, you could always, you could use Pikmin as an analog. But I want Romain to give the pitch for Tinykin. What makes Tinykin so different, and what exactly is Tinykin? So this is your chance to really sell your game to our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, this is like a pre-PAX warm-up.
This is it. Yep.
This is like good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you could describe Tinykin as unusual mix between Pikmin and a 3D platformer, because a lot of people are talking about Pikmin when they see Tinykin, because it's the first thing that come in mind, having all these little colored creature following you everywhere, and you can throw them at things. So this reminds of Pikmin, but in Pikmin, the levels are very flat. It's more like a real-time strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
But Tinykin is not like that at all. Imagine a game like Ratchet and Clank, but instead of having weapons, you have the Tinykin. So it's very different. There is no micro management in Tinykin like you can have in Pikmin. In Pikmin, you really choose the one you want to pick, you want to take in your group. You can harvest the Pikmin.
Yep.
You can pull them out from the ground, and they can die. They can. There is newborn Pikmin and so on. Its Tinykin is way more simple. Tinykin is more an action game with puzzle elements, and everything is set up in, let's say, platformer shell, kind of. So
Okay.
It's not as challenging on the platforming side as a Mario game or games like Super Meat Boy or things
Right.
like that.
Thank goodness for that.
It's not as challenging because it is more about exploration, finding Tinykin, and use the Tinykin to progress and solve puzzles.
Yeah, I got like a Banjo-Kazooie-ish vibes. Like it's very laid back, very chill. It's very adorable, and the puzzles complement the platforming. They go hand in hand. Like you solve a puzzle to do more platforming, to be able to do more puzzle solving, to do more platforming. And there's a soap skateboard thing, which is the best traversal tool I've seen ever in the video game in a while.
So what kind of threats do these Tinykin have to deal with in their everyday lives? What are they the bottom of the food chain? Are they the top? Like what do they have to deal with day to day when Milo's not around?
Actually, they are not really in any food chain, basically, because they are living their lives in the house, but the house inhabitants don't really care about their presence because they are considered impossible to how to say to use. They don't listen. They are just living in their own life.
They just kind of exist in this world.
Yeah,
and
they kind of exist, but the other insects that are living in the house, totally gave up with these creatures. But when Milo arrives, there is this special connection that makes everybody wonder why is Milo so special. And
he's like the Pied Piper.
Do you
know the story of the Pied Piper? That's like with
so.
all the mice, and the Piper uses the flute and can control all the mice and make them follow him and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that one.
Is that special or mind control? It's not a special relationship. It's just flat out mind control in that scenario.
Actually, in the game, you will quickly notice. For example, there is a demo currently on Steam. We've put it online during the last Steam festival, and it is still online. And you will see that from the beginning of the game, the house inhabitants are talking a lot about some kind of god that they call Arduin, and there is Milo has something special, and I can't tell much.
Sure. Yeah.
Without spoiling.
Yeah. No spoilers.
Scenario.
No spoilers.
But this is part of the cool thing, is that the scenario is not just about coming back home, building a machine to get back home.
Right.
It's a lot more than that, and that is also something that we hope will be more appealing compared to a lot of 3D platforming action games that are more that are a lot more cheap in their storytelling.
Sure.
Yeah,
kind of.
You mentioned that Arduin character. I got a lot of remember that Simpsons episode where Lisa put some.
Not everybody knows the Simpsons.
Well, I'll give a quick overview. She puts a tooth. She puts a tooth in a little thing of Pepsi, and it grows like a colony, and people evolve from the cavity, and they end up worshiping her because she's like a god to them. So I get.
Didn't Futurama do something similar?
So did South Park. It's been done to death.
Yeah.
It's an old story. But it's a similar vibe.
Yeah. In the kind of weird and absurd thing that can happen, there is also shows like Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
That are part of our inspirations. Because actually, when you see Rick and Morty from far, it is just looking like a regular, child cartoon with no depth. But when you actually see the episodes, you can see that it's a lot. It's way more deep than what you can imagine initially. This is something we are trying to achieve with Tinykin. I mean, one of our biggest references, if I take today's games, there is Psychonauts 2, which is a really great game in our opinion, because it's a really good mix between having a very strong universe, a very strong lore and scenario, but there is also a very strong game with a lot of interesting gameplay mechanics. So it's a very good mix between those two aspects, and it's kind of rare in this type of game. And I'm not saying that Tinykin is as big as Psychonauts or It Takes Two, but these are our best games.
I heard it, Andy. I heard it.
It's better.
So that's going to be the headline. Tinykin, the next It Takes Two ?
The better It Takes Two, says developer.
Actually, you might like it more than It Takes Two. The only thing is that you can't play with your girlfriend or your best friend or your grandma. It's a solo game.
Sounds better to me that way.
Yeah.
It's a solo game, but apart from that, yes, maybe you'll like it more.
So
I hope.
You mentioned the cartoon influence, and I can't help but think about the very distinct art style. You have a full 3D environment with flatter than my ass characters, Paper Mario style. Where did that decision come from? Why settle on this specific visual choice for Tinykin?
Initially, it was more technical constraints. Because when we started the project, the artists we were working with were mostly 2D artists, and they were already experimented with 2D animation, and especially using Spine software, which is a 2D animation software that is very useful to create very. Actually, it's skeleton-based animation, like for 3D. But it's way more simple to create characters, and it's also for a lot of reasons. It's when you are working with 2D artists, it's more convenient, and so initially we wanted to try something like that. And as much as we were working on the game, it became an art choice. It became part of the art direction, but initially it was mostly because we didn't have 3D character artists in the team. But in the end,
it works
it turned out.
Yeah.
Because actually we decided to use that constraint and make that a strength in the art direction.
Telling you, it's like PS1 rules, dude. Limitations beget creativity.
It's really an absolutely gorgeous use of this style. Like, it gives you a sense of scale really well too, because not if your characters were created or looked like they fit in this house in every aspect, it wouldn't seem as magical. Like, something about it is very whimsical and magical, and like the fact that it's kind of like an augmented reality game, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, where you use your phone and like your character shows up on your desk and you're like moving around your house and stuff, like, but if this feels like it actually belongs, but also doesn't quite fit. And like, I think that's beautiful. That's like a beautiful use of this. It doesn't like, it's not off-putting. Like, I could see how something like this would be off-putting if it was, another way. Like, sometimes, like if you look at Space Jam 2, right? Space Jam 2 just looked weird when LeBron James was like a cartoon character. Just looked weird. It didn't fit. But Space Jam 1, which had less technology, more limitations, just seemed to work. And I think that you're kind of hitting that little middle ground.
Maybe that's because we were kids at the time also.
Maybe, yeah, but Space Jam I watch a little too often.
There is also this movie by Robert Zemeckis, Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Yep, yeah. Roger Rabbit's, very similar. Yep.
This one was really great as well. And actually, it didn't seem off, but I don't know if it's because I was a kid, because it's been a big while I haven't seen these movies, and Space Jam 2, I haven't seen it.
Please don't. It's awful.
Okay, I won't. But actually, now it became part of our art direction, and the thing is that it stayed a very good, asset in terms of production, because it's way quicker to create characters than in 3D. For example, if we want a new character, from the character on paper to the character animated in the game, it takes something like 4 days. So it's a really quick pipeline. So this way we can also ensure that if there is something more than Tinykin later, we have set up a very strong very strong pipeline on top of having a strong art direction. So it works both ways. Technical strength and art strength, and we hope that this is something this is something that will make the game stand out, actually, because there is Paper Mario doing this, but there is not a lot of games like that. But maybe there is some kind of fashion incoming, because I've heard, for example, that the developers of Hat in Time are their new game is like that as well, 3D world with 2D characters, and we've seen a bunch of projects on Twitter and other social media that have been announced with this kind of style. So we hope it is not going to be too late, but the game is supposed to be released this summer, so I think it will be fine. We won't be too late.
No, I think you'll be fine, because this thing stands out already. Like just looking at snippets, looking at it in motion, especially, it kind of reminds me of watching my kid play with his drawings. Like he'll draw something and ask us to cut it out for him, and then he'll just play in the living room in this 3D world with this flat character just jumping around. And I used to do that too. I used to draw Mario, cut him out, paper Mario, and then just have him run and platform and go, on top of the TV, down, go into my shoes, and stuff like that. It's just, it has this imaginative whimsy about it that it instantly draws your eye. You can't walk away from it. And I feel like, I mean, it obviously draws your eye because Tiny Build came in here and was like, yeah, let's do this. So I guess there's that.
They were halfway there. It's in the name Tiny. Like, what? This would just make sense for us. Let's get these guys on board.
Actually, the name changed during the production.
Oh, really?
Initially, the name of the game was Spears. It's kind of complicated to pronounce for English speakers. Actually, it's I can write it.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, I will write it for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a marketing 101 lesson. If the gamer can't pronounce the name of the game,
Spears.
Spears.
I don't know if do you see it?
It's the right way. Yeah, it's the right way.
It's
all
good.
right,
It's
because
good. It's good.
Okay, so actually this is coming from a French word, sbire, which means slave or minion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's dark.
There goes the charm.
Obviously, the word minion was already taken, as you might know.
Bastards.
So we decided to go for spears. And when we signed the game with Tiny Build, at the time it was a prototype. It was way less beautiful as it is today. But they were convinced that this was going to be a great game. But they said, we love the game, we love the prototype so far, we love everything that you are doing, but there is something we should talk about, the name. So we brainstormed a little bit, a lot of names were proposed. But in the end, it became Tinykin. But actually, when Tiny Build signed the game, it was not named like that. And we didn't choose the name because of Tiny Build, but it's just that Tiny something is really is very relevant for the game we are making. So it's more like a coincidence. But I understand that people may think that Tiny Build did pressure on us to name the game.
You have
like that, but
these tiny movers, tiny builders. What could you call this game? What could you call it? Tiny something is. That's forgetting.
But we did try a lot of things with a small something, with other words I don't remember now, but or house something, because you are playing in a house. We tried a lot. But we absolutely wanted to have something simple that is not too complicated to remember. But initially, I would have preferred something even shorter. In my opinion, when games are named with very short and simple words, it's more, it's easier to remember. So there is a chance that even someone who didn't play the game remember the name of the game.
Tell that to Square Enix.
Yeah. Short and simple. And for the audio listeners out there, that word was spelled SBIRZ. So say that a couple times fast, and there you go.
Yeah, it also has that would be a little bit of a darker meaning, like minion. I don't know.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking about
the relationship is completely different.
Slavery in games. That's a whole different mindset.
That's a different podcast.
Actually, in Minion, you can think about something that is a bit evil, something that is not necessarily cute. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is that mignon in French means cute.
Okay.
Interesting.
Did not know that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Is it the same as filet mignon?
A cute little
a cute fillet?
Yeah. Actually, filet mignon, it's a cute piece of meat.
God.
We are unlocking the secrets of language.
Look at this. Life has just unraveled itself before
I am
our eyes.
getting smarter as we do this, but this is why you listen to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is for this, these tiny mignon nuggets of knowledge. Get it? Tiny cute nuggets of knowledge. That's what I did there. No, that's awesome. That's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, shut up. Go ahead. Go.
You go.
I was telling myself to shut up. Go ahead.
Okay. Go. You mentioned the word scale before, Steven, and the house.
I did.
And the charm and the wonder of it. And I can't help but go back to the design of this game, because it opens up when you enter the first city, so to speak. And the city is as big as like a small ottoman in your living room. It's not big at all to people like us, but it has a sense of scale to it. And it uses, you see, like there's VHS tape houses, old floppy drives holding up as foundation, matchbox bunk beds, tea light lamps. How do you come up with this stuff when you're designing a world that's shrunken down to exist in a larger space? Because it just oozes like moments of joy as I'm walking around, just seeing things like, oh yeah, they used buttons as a tabletop. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's very creative.
How does that process look like on your end?
Are you more talking about the way we are designing the levels in terms of gameplay, or more in terms of let's say environment art?
Yeah, just like the look, like as you're putting all the pieces together, like, okay, this has to be a house, but it's not an actual house, it's a small house, so we have to find things that exist in the real world to make it make sense.
Yeah, that's a challenge actually.
Yeah.
But that's a challenge at the beginning. For example, when we start to work on a new room of the house. Now the game is almost finished, so we are not designing any new rooms, but at the time when we were starting, it was quite a challenge, because we had gameplay intentions. For example, in games like the 3D Mario games, they don't really care about the consistency. There is flying things all around. You don't really bother the way the platform are just, floating without any propulsion wings, or I don't know what.
It's just there.
Here. Yeah. It is just there. So for the game, we didn't want that, because we really wanted to have this game set up in the house, and the house needs to feel real, but the difference with reality is that you are very small. So yeah, it was not very easy at the beginning, but as much as as much as you are working on this kind of stuff, you kind of acquire let's say some kind of automatic way of thinking. It becomes an habit. It's like training your brain to think that way. So after 2, 4, 3, 5 months, it becomes more and more.
It's like second nature at that point. You know what
Yeah,
goes where.
it's never easy, but
it becomes easier.
Yeah, you are you get quicker and quicker in finding the right object to dress the right situation and finding the right props to build the right house. Because the funny thing is that we are making insects living like humans.
Right.
If they were just insects, they were just they would have been just, you know,
living in a hole.
There, you know, yeah, living in a hole. Everything would have been dirty, broken, full of dirt, shit.
Yeah.
So it's like designing houses for, you know, dolls, or, you know,
right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Like
yes,
toys.
yes.
It's like playing
that
with.
That is the perfect.
You know,
metaphor.
My kids play with styrofoam packing, like if an item that comes with like the formed styrofoam, which we now banned, I guess, in this country, but they like to just like make houses out of it. Like they'll just put them together. They have like little windows, and they make them to scale with whatever toy they feel like playing with. And that's I think that's the charm of this game, is that it really does bring you to that point of imagination and trying to tie your imaginative toys or your characters that you're making up, and you're grounding them into a real world situation. And you guys do the scale. There's another game, former guest of the show, but Grounded does that sense of scale and that sense of utility with the objects, or the everyday objects around you, like a tin can or a fallen branch or whatever. But they have this utility that you get used to. And you start to really understand how something as simple as a book or a cup or, you know, whatever, can be used by something of that scale, something that small. It would be like us walking in real life and being like, okay, I'm going to take the train now, and there's a massive tunnel that we have to figure out how to get on top of in order to get to work. And you're like, what am I doing here? But, you know, to them it's a cup, or to us it's a cup. To them it's a giant tunnel or whatever. So I just love that imagination. That's always something to find, even if it's not something that is meant to be used or truly like discovered. You're always going to have a sense of discovery, because you're going to find something that has a touch to your reality, and you're seeing it from a completely new perspective, or a perspective that you could only imagine as a you know, young kid or whatever.
Yeah, that was exactly the feeling with this movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when I played Grounded, I had the exact same feeling. Like, okay, normally in normal life, this is very small. How does it look like inside
right.
the tin can, or inside I don't know, the box of cookies, and actually Grounded is really, really close to that movie, because it is in the garden, like
mm-hmm.
in the movie, because most of the time Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, the adventure takes place in the garden. So it's the exact same feeling, and they did a really, really great job with the sound also. When you chop a small piece of grass,
yeah.
you have the feeling of chopping a tree.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it is just a small strand of grass, and that kind of details, it's really good, really great. In Tinykin, the approach is a lot more cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Grounded is very realistic. I mean, kind of. It's not a simulation.
They have realistic properties.
Simulation. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that was my fantasy when I was a kid. I wanted to be shrunken down because I wanted to eat handfuls of oatmeal cookie cream. That was like my life.
Okay.
I was like, screw the giant bugs, the ants,
Interesting.
the fear of drowning in a raindrop. Fuck that. I wanted the oatmeal cream, like buffet. That's what I wanted.
God. You need. I want to be a fly. I want to be a fly on the wall in your therapy sessions.
No.
Fresh fluid here.
I'm not gonna fix myself.
Fresh fluid. I'm looking at screenshots because I just can't get over how beautiful this game is. It just looks like just gorgeous. This looks like something that could have been on Cartoon Network in like the early 2000s. Like it would have fit perfectly with their block of.
That's interesting because actually these cartoons inspired a lot the art direction, and our art director worked on the show Invader Zim, for example.
Shit!
So this is the kind of stuff that he loves, and we don't know yet what's going to happen with Tiny Build, but if we could have someday a Tinykin show,
oh my god,
it would be awesome.
Hell yeah, it would.
There is no such promises for now, but after the game is released, if that kind of discussion come in the table, it would be awesome.
Hell yeah! All right, let's switch gears here, Andy. It is now time for rapid fire. We're gonna get in there, and we're gonna get to know you, Romain. We're gonna really get in there, and understand the person beneath the skin and bones. This is how we do it. Okay. We're gonna start off with a different question, but it's going to be related to Tinykin. So, if you were in this Tinykin universe, if you were shrunk down, what would you want your house to be made out of?
I'm not sure to understand the question.
You're a tiny creature, and you're making a house in this, a dwelling for yourself. What do you want it to be made out of? Do you want to live in a bottle? Do you want to live in a milk carton, a popsicle stick house? Like, actually, how are you building
when
the
I
house?
Was a kid, I was
milk cream pie.
Not that one, because I'm assuming that after some days it would just rot and some
the diabetes comes fast in that scenario.
organisms that are usually very, very small. For you it would be like a bit like spiders and ants at our size, but you're tiny. I don't want that. But no, when I was a kid, I was fascinated by things I built using Legos, and I would have dreamed to be small, to visit the Lego castle, the Lego pirate boat, the Lego spaceship. So I think I would build a house with Legos.
Nice.
Or get some really decent shoes if you lived in a house made of Lego.
Yeah, but you can put some kind of carpets,
like some moss carpeting on the bottom. Yeah, so you would.
For example, in Tinykin, they use a lot of these, the small cards you put below the glass.
Coasters.
I don't know, is it
coasters?
A coaster.
Yeah, there is a lot of coasters used as carpets.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Yeah, coasters on Legos should be fine.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, a similar kind of question, but a little bit different. If you were a Tinykin, what would your unique ability be?
I mean, I can't spoil everything because
you in the game?
I don't even remember if we revealed all the Tinykin, by the way. But anyway, I think I wouldn't be a red one. I guess you know why.
Yes.
But
don't have a death sentence.
I like my life, so I don't want to end it.
Okay, that's fair.
Most of the time, when friends ask to when they ask for help to move from a house to another house, it's kind of I mean, it's kind of funny because they are friends and we drink beers, but I don't really like to,
it's the worst.
Lift
no one does.
It's the
furnitures.
worst.
So I wouldn't be a pink one.
Okay.
I would never ask my friends to help me move.
I hate it. I hate doing it. The last 2 times I moved, I hired people because I just don't want to ask anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one type I'm not sure we revealed it, but for another reason, I wouldn't be that type neither. Bridges, it's because we have Tinykin that are able to build bridges. They are
engineers.
Kind of cool. Yeah, they're kind of cool, but they are really, really shy guys, and they spend a lot of time just, attached to each other. So that's not really, really funny. So I think I would be a green one, the one that build ladders, because it's very interesting. They are very, I would say, acrobatic. They can build very huge ladders. They are,
There's a lot of utility there too. A lot of teamwork, a lot of utility.
And you can see, you can have very, very good point of views. Like if you love heights, and if you are not afraid of heights, the green ones are really cool. So maybe I would be a green one.
What's your favorite pie?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Most of the time, I'm more for salty rather than sweet things.
More of a savory
I'm more for salt than sugar.
Me too.
I don't know, something with cheese, probably. Oh, there is something I really like is tuna pies. You
Nope.
put
I don't know.
Tuna cream, garlic, salt, and pepper. Yeah.
That sounds really good. And like what, puff pastry? Like how do you make it into a pie? Like a pie crust? Like a tuna pot pie situation?
But by pie you mean something like a pizza, but more.
Yeah, I mean I mean
that sounds good too for a pizza topping, tuna and garlic and stuff.
Andy, stop it! You're just trying to be nice. You just get your quiet. I need to
it's
pull the ripcord.
Pineapple.
Shut up! I need to pull the ripcord and get out of this tuna discussion. Andy, what's the next question? Damn it!
Who is your favorite cartoon character?
Oh, that's also a good question, because a bit like pies, I like a lot of different cartoons and characters and comics, and but when I was a kid, I was a big fan of this French character called Asterix. I don't know if you already heard about that that little guy. Is in the past, a long time ago, in France, the country was named Gaul, and the inhabitants were the Gaulois, and Asterix is a Gaulois, so it was in a bit the same period than the Romans, in antique history. And so the particularity of the Asterix and his friends, who are living in a very small village in the Brittany part of France, is that they were resisting in every kind of invasion. So the whole country was invaded by the Romans, but Asterix and his friends were resisting. And actually, there is something very interesting in this comic book, is that they have a special beverage called the magic potion.
Sure.
And when they drink magic potion, they became really, really strong, a bit like Popeye with spinach.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, yep. Okay.
And they were actually on their I mean, what they do when they are not working, like enjoying their time. There is two favorite activities. It is eating, having just, partying.
Absolutely.
And fighting with the Romans. And so most of the time they just go out of the village, beat the shit of Roman army, and then they come back to the village and they just,
sounds like my kind of cartoon.
Celebrate.
I'm not gonna lie. That sounds a little Irish to me.
Yeah.
that sounds like current Irish.
So,
go to the pub, drink some super juice, go out, fight a Scot, and come back to the bar.
That's
the pub.
Exactly the pitch of the comic, and the style is very. It's very French or Belgian, and you can Google that Asterix, Asterix, and it's a character with wings on the helmet.
Okay.
And a big mustache.
Oh yeah, I've seen these dudes before. Okay. All right.
So I think historically it's my favorite cartoon character, but there is also a lot
Steven,
of
you'd be like, oh, these dudes.
Oh yeah, yep. Oh yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Would you rather explore the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean or a new, far-off planet?
That's also an interesting question. Oh my God, there is only interesting questions in this show.
That's the quote. There's only interesting questions on this show.
This question sounds like there is this game in French. We call that "Tu préfères." In English, it will be "Do you prefer?"
Yeah, it's would you rather?
Would you rather?
We call it "Would you rather?" Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Most of the time, it's "Would you rather hit shit or would you rather get your arm cut?"
Right.
Wow.
Don't worry, we're gonna get there.
We're gonna ask that to our next guest.
We still have about 5 minutes left, so we things are gonna get weird.
But for that one, that's I think I would go for the planet. But a lot of people that are saying that the deep oceans are still unexplored.
Yeah. Who knows what you can find under there,
places
some
that
Tinykin
are still
down there for all we know.
You never know, man.
Yeah, maybe. But I think I would go for the planet because this is something fascinating. I really like everything that is talking about, exoplanet and these very, very far worlds that maybe exist. And each time there is a theory saying maybe in a century we will find a planet in which life exists. I mean, I think we are too old for that. We will be dead at the time.
Sure.
But it is always fascinating me, that kind of, scientific theory, that kind of stories, because we don't even know if it's possible or not. But it's fascinating.
When was the last time you did something very touristy?
Ooh.
Like spend a day in Versailles or go to the catacombs or see the Eiffel Tower?
Last time I did that, when was it? I think it was last summer. With my girlfriend at the time, we visited a town we never went to in France. And even if you may think that towns are all looking the same, each time you visit a new town, you find things you've never seen. For example, in that town, we were walking near a big church. It was not a cathedral, but it was a big church. And we were wondering, can we visit that church. It was closed, but right beside the church there were houses, and a very, very old lady came out from one of the houses, and she started to talk with us, and she actually said that she was living in this town since 80 years.
Wow.
And we were wondering, how old is she? And actually, she was 95. And
God.
she was walking, around the house, doing stuff like usually younger people do. And and we've learned about the life of this lady. She told us how the town was during the World War II.
Wow.
She explained a lot of stuff. So when we arrived there in the first place, we were not expecting such an encounter.
Yeah, you got a history lesson.
That's sweet.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like a free tour guide kind of a thing. Free of charge.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What is the dumbest way you've injured yourself?
Oh, it's not myself, but I have a story. Speaking of that, our programmer, in the team we are 2 programmers, and the second programmer named Alain. One day at his place, he wanted to prepare handmade potato chips.
Okay.
And she used a cooking tool, which is really, really, really cutty. It's
the mandolin.
Yeah, mandolin.
Oh,
and
no! Don't say that word around me.
I won't dig into the.
Yeah, I dug in. All right.
The next part, but as you can imagine, one finger got a bit damaged.
I know that pain. I
think Andy did that exact thing.
Yeah, a whole chunk of thumb
the
came
thing
clean off.
is that I you know what raclette is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
take
good.
cheese
Yep.
and you melt.
There's a
the cheese
restaurant named Raclette here. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And when I was a bit younger, I was using a very, very sharp knife to cut slices of raclette, and I badly injured my hand also. And it's fun because actually cheese is not resistant at all. Cheese it is very easy to cut cheese.
Yeah, you don't really need the sharpest knife in the world for that.
It's funny. I have both those injuries.
Yeah.
On either thumb.
Yeah, you're a mess.
One from cutting, one from mandolining.
Yeah. Andy, let's get our final question here.
Oh boy.
You have the honors.
Last?
The last. You have the honors.
All right. We've asked you a lot of interesting questions today about the game, which is out this summer. Yay. And about you and how you operate and what makes the insides work a little bit. But this is the hardest question.
It is.
It is the most serious question.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 2-choice question, but you only pick one. And that question is, I want to say it this way. Do you prefer Andy or Steven?
Oh. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been more simple if it was like our current election in France. We are in the middle of electing a new president, and you can't really hesitate. I mean, it's I won't dig into that, but for you,
that's a lot.
It's a bit more complicated. It's less political. I don't know you, but
do you really know your politicians though? Like, really? You don't. You know what I mean?
I think I don't know them more than you. I mean, personally.
Okay.
But Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Do you are you really expecting an answer?
Well, we can leave it at that.
Well, that's a very new answer. I don't think we've gotten that one. I don't think we've ever gotten
that. I can maybe choose the best T-shirt. Okay. I really like the retro style, so I would.
Oh wait, I gotta show my
go for the NES gamepad.
Yep.
All right, so great, best T-shirt.
I'm taking that. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna bring us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at Duel_Screens. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at PantsGuy. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/DS Podcasts. And of course, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's so simple. A baby can do it as long as they have a bank account and money. You could go to patreon.com/NDS Podcast, and we want to thank our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler and FNH Paul. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, and your support is directly helping us get to PAX. And of course, if you join for as little as $1, you get into our Discord. So it's a nice little fun place to hang out with us and some of our guests and all that fun stuff. Now, Romain, tell everybody where they could find you and Tinykin.
Actually, if you are in Boston next week, you can find us at PAX East.
We'll be there, baby.
Hell yeah.
And apart from that, I think you can go to Steam and look for Tinykin and wishlist the game if you are interested.
Mm-hmm.
And the place we are the most active, I mean, as us, the developers, because TinyBuild is active on a lot of social networks. But for us developers, we are on Twitter a lot. So if you look for Tinykin or Splash Team Devs, because Splash Team is the name of the studio, you will find us.
Excellent. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Romain. Everybody, follow or wishlist the game immediately. Don't be an idiot. This has been the Dual Screens Podcast. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everybody. And as always, please be excellent to each other.